got Albany, Georgia on my mind as I pass away the time while sitting at the Flint. I know I've been heaven sent to Albany, Georgia. I got Albany, Georgia.
Greetings and welcome to Politics in America 2023, streaming live on STREETZ989 Atlanta TV, a platinum media network. I'm your host, the First Lady, Minister Jazzy. We are the #1 stream sharing the lives of extraordinary leaders, entertainers, and community advocates through true life experiences. Today, we welcome to our studio a proven leader, an Albany, Georgia native, City of Albany Mayor Candidate, community leader, chef, advocate, Omar Salam. Let's welcome him to the studio. Welcome, Omar. How are you today?
I'm just fine, Jazz, and yourself and the audience. How you people are doing out there?
Oh, we are doing awesome. Thank you for returning for another campaign for mayor here on STREETZ989 Atlanta. Let's get started. Briefly share with our audience who you are and what makes you the best candidate for the City of Albany Mayor 2023.
Well, I'm Omar Salam. I'm a resident of Albany, Georgia. Been living here the majority of my life. Been in and out of some cities and states, did some work in other places. Started work when I was very young, around about 6 years old. Remember the day when Martin Luther King came through Albany? I was one of the person who was marching in that march when it came to Albany here. I guess I was around about 9 or 10 years old. And I was a part of that movement here. Didn't understand it at that time, but I was a part of it. And I guess it kind of like gave me the idea in the subconscious mind, to be working in the community, to do our whatever we need to be doing in our community. Gave me that type of inspiration to want to do good and do better, in my surrounding in my environment. So time progresses. I started a business. I've been in business just about all my life. Had a business in the downtown that forced me to try to sit around the commissioners meeting to find out what was going on with the businesses, the minority business or the black businesses, so to speak. And, I wanted to find out what was going on because there was some talk about the area that I was in that was going to be revitalized. So I sat around the politicians to see what was going on with the businesses. And I got interested in the politics, just how do it works, who makes it work, I wanted to put names and faces together to see who was making the decision based on how our cities ran, how our city looks. Because, the looks of our city was good on some areas and bad on some areas. So I wanted to put face and names and conversation with that. So I attended those meetings for like 39, 40 years just to sit around and find out what was going on. And basically didn't like a lot what I was seeing at that time based on parts of this city. So I got interested in trying to make a difference and make a change here. And I found out that you got to be in a position of authority to do anything worthwhile in this town here,
So let's focus on your campaign platform strategies, ready for anything, local jobs, housing, reparations, social and economic development, community empowerment, farming, government, law enforcement, and sustainability.
Jazz, I'm a somewhat historian by way of other people. I listen to other historians, and interested in the true history of Black people. So by me listening and learning from the past of some of our great leaders that tried to make a difference in our community, to try to bring us up to the point where, you know, our Constitution, our liberty, and all these things that was promised to us has not worked. So that got me interested in a whole lot of things. This is why I'm advocating for reparation on the first thing on my list, because that's a historical problem that led to so many of the other problems that we have today. You know, we was promised things, you know. I mean, Jess, how do you work people for 250 years and don't pay them? Once I
Right.
learned these things later on in life, you know, I said, what's going on with this? So if I'm elected as mayor of Albany, the first order of business, or one of the first order of business, will be to organize a committee to look into reparation for us in this town and this state and this country and this world. We want to connect with all of those organizations out there from a mayor office that advocate for reparation, because that's a sin that's never been paid to us, and we need that. That's the
Yes.
first thing I would like to do.
Yes.
You
I
know,
think that is very important to us as a society.
very important, because, you know, by being in business all this time, I have learned so much. You have to have finance, you have to have money in a capitalistic society. You know, if you don't have that, then everybody else will come in your neighborhood and they will set up shop and they will take your money. They will take your lifestyle from you. They will feed you, give you anything and everything that, you know, basically you're not deserving. So we have a lot of problem from other residents coming into our neighborhood, providing services to us that is not, I would say, up to standards or fair, you know. So we need to get reparations so we can start and controlling our own community. We need to have money to do these things. And definitely we got to be educated about how to utilize the money, you know, and let's benchmark this money to, you know, create some jobs and some businesses for ourselves so we can keep this money. We need to generate this money back in our neighborhood.
Yes, we do. And that's a
Yes.
crucial thing about economic, social, and economic development. And I like that on your campaign strategy, because I think a lot of leaders do not think about how capitalism has played such a role in poverty-stricken rural areas of our country. So that is very, very important. Now let's talk a little bit about law enforcement and the criminal justice system in the city of Albany.
Well, you know, law enforcement, you know, and I look at law and, you know, we have some great, I think, some officers, but the city of Albany is tied in with this. They have such a organized system here on all of the things that really matter to community and society, you know. And what I've noticed is that if you were in some type of group or setting or some type of organization that's heads up or that's have influence on those type of organization, and law enforcement is one of them, then you basically going to be okay. But if you're not, then you're probably going to have some problems, you know, because law enforcement is not fair here. You know, I know that for a fact. And I learned over the year that crime is a big business. You know, we've been talking about crime from the 80s when I used to attend those meetings about, you know, what can we do about it? The city will call these townhouse meetings and ask a question, put in your suggestion in the box and whatever. You give them all of these nice informations, and I thought that some of them would resonate and give some solutions. But if they're not taken serious and being utilized, we have the same problem over and over and over. So I came to the conclusion a long time ago that, it's a big business. They don't intend to stop crime, you know. And some of the things that have basically showed
I
me
think that
this,
takes us back to where we initially started talking about capitalism.
yes,
That's going to always be a main revenue and a main focus in the political arena in this country. I mean, if we can't separate the two. So
can't
let's move a
separate.
little bit further. I know you've been advocating as well for electric programs for the cities and for the citizens of Albany. Share with us a little bit about how important that is to the constituents as well as to your focus and mission on your campaign.
Give me that question again, please. I didn't quite get the first part of it, please.
You
What's the
are
question again?
campaigning, you're campaigning for better and more electrical programs to assist all residents.
Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, well, Albany has sort of a poor level of education here for us when it comes to technical skills and things like that. So I would definitely be, you know, promoting education, you
Mm-hmm.
know, trade school, you know, for those youth, for the elderly, to put them back into the system. We got to be educated. When we get these opportunities, we have to have people that basically qualify to fulfill them. If not, give them the opportunity to learn. Because I know a lot of people have learned on the job. So we have to be flexible so we can fix this problem from a different perspective. I know, a lot of times they say, well, you don't have these conventions, you don't do this, you got to have a certificate for this. Everybody don't have those type of things. We have to look at different ways of doing things to bring our community up to the level where they need to be brought. And we have to be creative about these things. So
Right.
I'm all for advocacy for betterment the entire community because like we have like most of the major cities, you go in a new city, when you're in the black community, or when when you're in the African American community, it just looks different, you know, the housing, the roads, the sidewalks, all of
Yes.
the infrastructure. You know the different instantly when you go there. I want to utilize our tax dollars to fix or catch up with the areas that been benefiting from these things for a long, long time.
Tell me, Albany has a situation right now with the Greyhound bus station. How would you handle this situation if you were mayor of the city?
Well, first thing I would have done, Jazz, when this program was introduced, or it was introduced like 15, 20 years ago, we would have sat down. It's just like they do when you go buy a mortgage, when you buy a house, you got a check off list. You strategize all the things that would possibly happen, that would possibly come up for discussion, and you ask for, advice from your colleagues, and you take that information and you go over and you brainstorm it and you try not to, miss not one iota of, support that you can give your community or the people that are going to be utilizing those services. You want to do a thorough inspection on the people who are going to be using the services. Now, I never would have built a building for millions of dollars and close it at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. You're trying to make a deal with the transportation system that basically run head for the night. And you close at 5 or 6 o'clock. It makes no good sound business sense to me.
It
I would
doesn't.
have never okayed something like that. Never.
It's unacceptable.
Very. And there's
I
more I
know,
can speak about that, but
Omar,
let's go forward. Go ahead.
unfortunately, this is something that we have to deal with because we have to talk about government. you know, and I know you are a lifelong community advocate. What are your thoughts on the current leadership within the city of Albany?
You know, bad. That's my thought on it. We have, I was at a forum, some months ago, and they was talking about the development of the Harlem district area, if you know the area. And they ask us all type of questions, do surveys, da da da. You give them these ideas. And one of the ideas I gave them, I said, when they asked the people, I said, listen, why don't we just do a replica of what was there before? It worked. It worked. It was working. That got applause, but it didn't get on the books. And the mayor was at this meeting. And I made the statement that this is the type of leadership we need. With these type of ideas. You look at what's been working, and let's use those things. And I made the statement that we just don't have that type of leadership here that consider the entire citizen from, north, south, east, west, and, north. We don't consider people needs and their situation. I mean, look, it's no secret that we have been struggling in this land for centuries. And, I just take my head off. We survived with little to nothing. We are vigilant people. We are strong. So whatever problem this city has right now, I'm sure we can correct them if we have the right leadership. I think I'm the best choice for that because, I don't belong to no organization. I've been invited to different organizations and things like that. And I go on and I listen and sit down. But when I make the statement about, why are we doing this here and not doing it over there? Well, I get the statement, well, stay in your own lane. Well, the whole city is my lane. That's my lane, the whole city. So it's just time for us to unite under the best leadership that we have with the best vision and go forward. And let's fix this place, Let's fix Albany. It's not that we don't have the money, because I remember when I first started listening to the politics in the 80s, we had a $42 million budget, which is small compared to Atlanta in that area. But now we dealing with a $300 million budget. We have the same problems, if not worse. Misusement of funds. I can go on and on about this. So we're going to be very vigilant about our funding. We're going to get back on track. We're going to get a dollar worth, whatever. We're going to get our value for our money. We're going to make some changes. If I'm elected, we're going to, for a day's work, you're going to get a day's pay. If you sign a contract with me as your mayor, I'm expecting you to do that type of work in a timely manner that we agreed upon. Or we're going to go and we get something else. We'll get something else done. But we're going to have to change the course. We got to change the course here because it's rotating. You get the same thing over and over. People promise you this and they deliver nothing. It's time for that to stop. It will start with my office if I'm elected mayor.
Omar, when you're out canvassing, share with us a little bit about what the constituents are most important or most concerned with.
Well, they are concerned with jobs and utilities. It's like, out of control here. The utilities is one of the things, we got some of the industry have problem with the healthcare system here, But when I tell people, you have to be informed, you have to be rightly and correctly informed about your concerns. It starts at the governmental center. Attend some of those meetings, get on some of those boards, become a member, share your ideals. That's hope. that they would be considered by leadership, which they have not from the past. Because I served this community on some type of way and form since the 80s. And you spell out your guts telling them how to fix these things and what have you. And, to no avail, they just come back to the same thing. And if you don't go along to get along, then, you're a bad person, or, get exit, you get ousted like I have been. But that's okay, because I know we haven't been brought this far to be let down. All of this I take as a lesson for myself, and I go forward, because I love Albany, but Albany is not the world. If the people want to make a serious change in this town, then they can start with me as their mayor.
Awesome. Omar, how can the city stand with you to build a stronger, better community for everyone?
Well, like I said, first of all, they have to be more informed, because we are so divided on ideas and what this mean and what that mean. You see things on the news, you read things in the paper, but when you go to the commissioner meeting, it's totally different. So you're going to have to start to attend to some of these meetings. Raise your hand, make your concern heard.
Yes.
Because they are elected officials. They're supposed to heed to the people here, which we have let this thing get so out of control. If those are the bosses, but they're really not. Because we don't understand how things work. We don't understand how they, we're not knowledgeable how, our power. We have the power, but you have to be informed, how to utilize it, and people need to, when I go around, I'm going to go to some doors and knock. I'm going to ask them, we're going to sit down and have a conversation. And I ask them to share this information with your neighbor, your community, your social media. Share. I can't do all of this. I can't see everyone. So start to helping me share. If you think that my idea is pretty good and you think this would make a difference, then share that with your neighbors, your community. Let's talk it up. Let's talk up real change with Omar this time. Real change.
Right, because you ran in 2019, although there were several, I think 7 candidates in 2019. I'm glad to see that there are only 4 candidates that is running on this election. And, Omar, can you reflect a little bit? I know you also did some festivals back in the 80s and the 90s, the African Festival. Can you share with the audience a little bit about your entrepreneurship before we let you go?
Well, my entrepreneurship started, I didn't even know about the word entrepreneurship at that time. It started when I was 6 years old, shining shoes for 10 cents. It worked. I had my lunch money every day. Then I came along, worked in the grocery store. I became a butcher before I was 15 years old, So on in the business, I developed a business in 1976 in a flea market, indoor flea market. 79, I developed a business in the downtown area, which gave me a broader sense of business and community, because I did a lot of traveling. I talked to a lot of people. I saw a different side of business that make me want to stay in business. And I've been in and out of business 4 or 5 times for a lot of personal reasons. My first daughter, we had some real big issues with her. It broke me trying to save her. I spent every penny I had to save her, and I did it. I started over again. So what? Oh, I kind of lost my train of thought on the question. Please.
We was talking about, you've done so much, and I've kind of forgotten it too.
Oh,
But
the
anyway,
festival.
we was talking
Well,
about when you did
the festival, the African festival. My business was such a success back in the 90s, and that by me being in a community and then traveling, I used to attend a lot of these events down in the islands and different cities, and I saw, and even Atlanta, it made me feel good when I came to Atlanta and saw all the black people coming together to these events and having a great time. I seen the performance of Jane Brown there on Albany Avenue, And it just inspired me, man, we need to do this back home. And I did that. We put it together, and we were very successful at one point. Very successful because, I did the African Festival, which would give us a sense of who we are. It would give, connect us back, hopefully connect us back to the culture that we had once. So we would respect each other, house, neighborhood, mother, father. So we would stop all this senseless killing, all of this senseless, just, bad things that we're doing. We've been taught this. So I was hoping that the culture will enlighten us back again so we can do these things. But the festival was a great avenue, but it was undermined because there was some people didn't want that to happen. So it's still deep in my heart. I want to do it again. I'm looking for private land right now to do it. Hopefully I'll find it and we can get that started again. But entrepreneurship is the way to go because we have to receive our money first from each other. Someone else is receiving our money, Back in the 80s, I was in with a group that we had a little business group. And one of my ideas was, let's go about all these vacant gas stations and just sit on them. But no one listened to me at that time. Now you can't find a gas station in our neighborhood. They all take them. And these people are taking tens of thousands of dollars out of our neighborhood each and every day. And sometimes they give us real bad service. We have to change
Omar, we need to break it down. So let's tell the audience one thing that sets you apart from the other candidates that is running for mayor November 2023.
Well, I'm one of the guys that say I'll go down with the ship, fighting for the ship to float. Okay. I'm with you all the way. Only thing I need is the support from the community because, see, I initially took it upon myself to go and sit around for 39, 40 years to learn and see how this thing works, So I'm one that you can trust, check my record, what I say, I plan to do. I don't promise anything. We don't never know what's going to happen. But what I say, I plan to do it. Hold me accountable to it.
Awesome. Omar, we wish you continued success in life and on your journey to becoming the next mayor of the city of Albany. Thank you for sharing your comments today. I'll definitely be back in touch and continue to watch this race in November. So wish you success. And if you have an opportunity to have someone on your office like me, please look me up. I'm available. Good luck.
I'll do it. Well, you've been available, and I thank you so much for the opportunity to express myself to your audience. And we're looking forward to making a huge change, because the world has changed. Have you been watching Africa? The world has changed. The world has changed. We have to be knowledgeable of the change and get in tune. You got me.
Yes. Well, have a good afternoon and many, many blessings. Send love to the city of Albany. I'm going to say goodbye for now.
And thank you much.
No problem. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Same. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That was Omar Salam. He stopped by to share his 2023 November campaign as candidate for mayor of the city of Albany. Guys, make sure that you go out and support Omar and all of the candidates that are running for mayor. We need a change in the city of Albany. I'm your host, the First Lady, Minister Jazzy. I am keeping community first. Until then, keep God first in your life. One love. I'm out.
In my heart. as I visit her park with daughter, wife, and son. We'll view the Flint River